What's up, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. Today, I want to talk about SKUs. So SKU refers to something as a stock keeping unit. Now, a SKU you may have heard in apparel, e-commerce, maybe you work in brick and mortar, or maybe you just noticed a random code on the back of a package that you got from your favorite apparel company. A SKU at the end of the day has two purposes. The first is for inventory management for the company, and the second is for vendor management. So I want to go from the root of how a SKU is utilized, because the company, when creating a SKU, has to create it that it's going to be applicable and scalable. And what I mean by this is a SKU can be anything you want it to be as a company. It's generally a random number of letters, characters, numbers, whatever you want it to be that actually represent something specific in your inventory. For us, we have multiple different colorways and multiple different sizes of our product. So when we write a SKU, we want it to represent both the style, the color, and where it's coming from. And by where it's coming from, I mean vendor management. So our SKU, again, stock keeping unit, is written like this down below. This is an example of our midnight black colorway. You can see the first three letters are MID, mid, for the midnight black. The next are for the size and the style of what it is, so 34 drifties. And the next is where it's coming from. And this is from our manufacturer, Syntex. So this, at the end of the day, is our SKU. Now the point of this SKU from our side of things is stock keeping unit, so that's inventory management. Now on our shelves, we have everything up by size on the x-axis and style on the y-axis. So for me, I can go to the shelves and be able to pull a unit because I know what style and size. But for companies, as you get bigger, you need to have that identified by SKU. So on the back end in Shopify, we have to build out by product and associate a SKU with a certain product, style, and size. So if I'm seeing that size 34 style black has 50 units, that means that the SKU that I just referenced will have 50 units attached to it. Now, that may not mean a lot for a consumer, but for us, it's super important from the due diligence aspect, because we need to make sure that our SKU represents a certain number of inventory that is not only represented on the shelves, but is also from like the correct number that what we're getting from our vendor. So this is where the vendor management part comes into play. When we initially place our purchase order, we place our order based on SKU numbers. So let's say we have style midnight black, size 34. We're gonna order 50 units of those. And then style 36, let's say we order 70 units of those, and so on and so forth. So we do this for every single style and size. And the reason why that's important is because it allows a company, our vendor, who is in a different country, to be able to look at a unit, a stock keeping unit, the SKU, and be able to read this without having to understand our language. So they can understand, based on the SKU, they need to have a certain number of products for us for that SKU. So then they create the product, they send it to us, and they send a packing slip. That packing slip has all the inventory based on SKU. So then we can see and count to make sure, okay, does the SKU that we asked for, the number of product that we're asking for, correctly represent the purchase order? Is our purchase order correctly represented with the number of products that we asked for based on the SKU? And typically, the answer is yes, because that's what you paid for. So you have your stock keeping unit, and sometimes there's a little disparity, maybe one or two are missing, maybe you have some product malfunctions that you have to get rid of a product. But it allows you to really be able to then go to the back end of Shopify or back end of your platform, update the correct SKU with the right number of inventory, that represents what should be on the shelves, which allows the consumers to accurately buy it. So at the end of the day, it is a different type of language that is just spoken throughout all vendors, both on the apparel side and the actual business, that allows people to honestly speak to each other. It's a really incredible process. And that's what a SKU is. Make sure to subscribe and check out more channels below, and leave a comment if you want to learn more about the back end of a small business or apparel business. See you out there.